When a babysitter thinks she's about to earn an easy paycheck, she has no idea she's about to have to put her muscles to use to fight off a paranormal force. And then we travel to Argentina. To answer the question, we know what happens when a human body is hit by a moving train. But what happens when a moving train hits a beast from beyond? Today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. I hope you guys are having a great day too. I hope you guys are having tons of fun doing whatever you're doing. I'm gonna have a busy weekend for myself this week. New Magic the Gathering sets coming out. Putting my nerd clothes back on. Beat me up, bullies. New Magic the Gathering sets coming out. I haven't played Magic the Gathering in probably like 5-6 years. Maybe longer, I don't know, 10 years. But the point is that this new set is based on 80s horror movies. It's called Duskmourn. So all the cards are like chainsaws and Meat Hook Massacre, and it's like a Buffy the Vampire subset, like, you know, survivors and stuff like that. As you are beating me up too, you're like, I was never a bully before now, Jason, but you've pushed me to my limit. I'm gonna be, just wait, if you think that's bad, this weekend I already bought like a booster box. I'm dropping some cash. I'm dropping some cash on this Magic set because it sounds so cool. I'm doing a tournament. Yeah, you're like, yep, okay, I'm getting out, put my shoes on, I'm gonna go Toad River, beat Jason up. I'm gonna do a little local tournament, Magic tournament. I bought a booster box, so after the tournament, I get to stay up late and open up all my packs. And then Saturday, I'm gonna go see the new Transformers cartoon. I wasn't gonna see that. The first trailer looked dumb. It looked like it was for little kids. But it turns out it's actually for teenagers. It turns out that it's a much better movie than I initially suspected. But someone who's always better than you expect. Someone who goes the extra mile to be the extra awesome person. Everyone get on your feet and give it up for Mohammed Belladel. Woohoo, yeah, yeah, he's all running on in a Dead Rabbit Radio command. Yeah, yeah. Being extra awesome. Mohammed Belladel today is going to be our captain, our pilot. The reason why is that he sent me a story. We're going to cover the story he sent me later in the week. But Mohammed does what I always talk about. If you guys can't support the show financially, I totally understand. He's been getting the word out. He says he's got at least 4 other people to start listening to the show. 4 future bullies to come and beat me up. He said he just talks about Dead Rabbit Radio all the time to his friends, to his family. He gets the word out, and that is why he's going to be our captain, our pilot this episode. So if you guys can't support the show financially, understand. Just help spread the word about Dead Rabbit Radio. Do what Mohammed does. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Dead Rabbit Radio is your favorite paranormal show because that is the way you can help the show grow. Mohammed actually, I get these from time to time. Mohammed sent me some ideas for vehicles as well. He said, how about an electric bike? Because he's from the Netherlands. That would work. But I can't think of a rabbit word, because I always try to go like bunny blimp or Jason Jalopy. So if you guys can figure out an e-rabbit thing that rhymes with an e-bike, that'd be cool. I guess we could just take the regular bunny bicycle and put an engine on it. But he did offer this. Because he said not only is he from the Netherlands, he's also Moroccan. Sorry I've completely doxed you at this point. If anyone's looking for you, bro, they know everything about you from this 2-minute segment. He recommended this vehicle, and I was able to find a nice little rabbit name. So everyone climb on board the Caniculus Camel. As Mohammed rides us out of Dead Rabbit Radio Command. You're all looking up Caniculus. Trust me, it means rabbit. It might not be pronounced right, but everyone climb on board the Caniculus Camel as Mohammed rides us out of Dead Rabbit Radio Command on his custom vehicle he picked out. Everyone climb on board, choose a hump. As we're leaving behind Dead Rabbit Radio Command, you're checking your watch, you're like, just get the episode started, whatever, bro. We're leaving behind Dead Rabbit Radio Command. Mohammed, take us all the way out to the eastern United States. Clump, 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 clump. Oh, phew. What the hell was that? If you lost your mind, that's the camel spitting. That's camel spitting. It might come back. I like that sound effect. With the caniculus camel, might be here to stay. We're headed out to the East Coast. It's interesting. We can't really get a hard read on where this place is. We know it's 2 hours from Chesapeake Bay, which is in what, Massachusetts? Well, we're out on the East Coast, so we're about to meet this young woman. At this time, much, much younger. This story took place a couple years ago. We're going to call her Molly. And she's babysitting her 2 younger cousins, and we will name them Sabrina, who's 4, and Tracy, who's 6. And Molly is watching her cousins at her aunt and uncle's house. So the little girl's parents. Now, this house is around 100 years old, which on the East Coast isn't super notable because there's so much old stuff over there. But to make this house extra creepy, if the real estate agent was like, well, that doesn't scare you. I don't know why I'm trying to scare you. I'm a really bad real estate agent. I should be trying to sell a house instead of terrify you. Next to this beautiful home is a graveyard. Molly says that was the creepy part. She goes, the house itself didn't really give off a bad feeling. You never really felt creeped out just by being there, but you did when you were looking out a window and it was night and you saw these headstones right in the next yard. She goes, that was creepy. But you never really felt there were any paranormal shenanigans going on here. However, her aunt and uncle would tell her stories. They would tell Molly, yeah, there is some weird stuff about this house, but not super spooky. I mean, we'll tell you this. We hope you still babysit our kids. One of the stories that was told to Molly was Tracy, when she was only 2. In the middle of the night, her parents found her in her bedroom, standing up on her bed. I think she had been kind of babbling, and that woke them up. They wanted to check on her. They found Tracy standing up on her bed, facing a corner of the room with her arms outstretched, and she's saying, "Take me! I want to play too!" So not super creepy. On the creep-o level, I'd probably rank that, I don't know, a 5 out of 10. It's just average, right? Because it didn't happen to me. If that happened to me, that'd be the creepiest thing. I'd tell everyone about it. I'd do a 1-hour special on it. But, you know, kids say weird stuff. Middle of the night, maybe she's dreaming. There was no one in the corner of the room. 5 out of 10. Average creep. They also said Tracy also would tell her parents that at night, Pappy would show up. "Pappy came to me last night," Tracy said. "Who's Pappy?" "Pappy! You know Pappy. The eternal lingering soul between the living and the dead. Pappy." She would talk about Pappy all the time. It was kind of like her imaginary friend. They just wrote it off as her imaginary friend. But then Pappy taught her a dance. So, okay, I don't know where this is on the creep level, but this is actually kind of cool. They said that Tracy learned to do the Irish jig. So, kicking her heels, dancing like a leprechaun, basically, right? She's like, you get me gold, but then I get ye soul. She's dancing, she's doing this Irish jig, and it was confusing to the parents because, one, they're not Irish. They don't know how to do an Irish jig. Which, you know, it's so funny because when Molly posted this online, she goes, yeah, Tracy could do an authentic Irish jig, and no one in the family's Irish. No one's named Pappy. There's no, like, descendant going by the name Pappy. People commented, well, if you're not Irish, how do you know what an authentic Irish jig looks like? She could have just been all flailing. She's all having a seizure. She's like, Mommy, Daddy, my medicine. I see Pappy. He's taking me through the tunnel of light. And they're like, clapping. Oh, Pappy taught her the best dance. She's foaming at the mouth. Anyways, she says Pappy taught her a dance. She's an authentic Irish jig or a medical emergency. She's doing this little dance around. Not the creepiest thing in the world. That I think more ghosts, honestly, should teach more people more things. Find it very interesting that there, and I'm not knocking, I'm not saying that ghosts aren't real, because I do believe in ghosts. I'm not knocking. I find it very interesting, though, I do have to say, there's a lot of spooky little girls standing at the foot of your bed singing Ring Around the Rosie, and there's less, like, scientist ghosts showing up and being like, guys, I figured it out. If you take this beaker of liquid and you pour some vinegar in it, it makes this disgusting concoction. This is what killed me. So splashing it on you. I want more ghost friends. I mean, why aren't more ghost scientists showing up? Even if they said lame stuff, if they came back and said, oh, I realize that geology is all about materialism, but the real universe is connectiveness, and we all have to be together as one, and some lame stuff like that. At least, like, the geologists could show back up at the rock lab. I mean, everyone's, like, sitting on rocks and stuff like that. They're like, man, I really probably should have gotten a job at the aquarium. They're sitting on jellyfish, and they're sitting on rocks, and the geologist ghost shows up, and he's like, guys, come with me. I'm going to show you where gold is. Because that's the real reason why anyone becomes a geologist. They really just want to find gold. The ghost is flown around, and he's like right underneath his laboratory. Who knew? We were on top of a gold vein. So they're, like, destroying the laboratory floor, and the ghost is laughing. He's all, I hated this laboratory. They made me work so hard, and then they dropped a rock on my head while I was sleeping. They killed me, and now I'll destroy it. Why aren't more ghosts coming back to help with scientific discoveries? Just saying. Just saying, okay? But anyways, or at least teach us dances. At the very least. Molly's hearing these stories, and she's like, the first one was kind of creepy. The second one's a little confusing. We're going to have you babysit our kids. And Molly's like, sure, easy bucks. She gets to hang out with her younger cousins. She likes them. They like her. Perfect babysitting trifecta, or bifecta in this case. They like her. She likes them. Or is that tri? Anyway, the point is that she's going to babysit for them. So on this particular night, they've had fun, but now it's time for bed. So Molly's upstairs with the girls, because that's where their rooms are. And she's helping them brush their teeth and get ready for bed and all that stuff. And she does. She takes them to the bedroom. Good night, Sabrina. Mwah. I love you, cousin Molly. I love you too, Sabrina. Goes to the next bedroom. Good night, Tracy. I love you. Mwah. I love you too, cousin Molly, Tracy says. And Tracy leaves them. Leaves them in their bedrooms, goes downstairs, and she sits down, and she starts hearing get it, go. No, I can't, we have to. I don't know what. Bam! Go, you gotta, what do we do now? Bam! And that's the sound of, like, she hears them talking fairly loudly, but not yelling. And she hears the sound of a door, and she goes, it's not a slamming door, but it's a door being shut pretty hard. Either way, though, if they were yelling and slamming doors or furious whispers and shutting doors, she's like, wait, what is going on up there? I just put them to bed. I gotta go check on these kids. This is my job. I'm sitting on them tonight. So she walks upstairs, and she says the way the house was laid out is you go upstairs, and there's this hallway, and then there's a corner. She can hear the noises coming from around the corner, so she goes down the hallway, she turns the corner. Tracy and Sabrina have their hands and their shoulders braced against this door that they are trying to shut and then hold shut. This is the door that leads into the attic. Molly's like, what in the world? Ladies, what's going on? And they go, we gotta shut it. Help us shut it. And she said they spoke in a half shout, half whisper. The urgency was there, but they also weren't trying to alert whatever was on the other side of the door. Molly's like, what in the world is going on? I literally just left you guys up here. What is going on? Molly walks over. She's totally on edge. Totally on edge about what this is. And she walks up. She puts her hand against, not really knowing what she was going to expect. The two girls are pushing their body weight, but they're tiny, right, against this door to the attic. She then puts her hand on the door, and she feels something push back. Once she touches that door, she feels the door move as if something on the other side is desperately trying to get out. Something is pushing the door, and she felt it. She freezes. She completely freezes in this moment as these two girls are still having to try to hold this door shut. It's open just a smidge. Something's trying to get out. She freezes for a moment. She realizes these girls aren't messing around. There's something up there. I don't know what it is. We're just going to shut the door. And she does. She forcefully slams it shut. Thanks, Molly, Sabrina says as she starts walking away. Molly, good work today, Tracy says as she makes her way back to her bedroom. And Molly's like, what? What in the world just happened? And she's standing there. The door is now firmly shut. I'm sure locked, triple locked. Went to Home Depot and bought a new deadbolt for it. Molly, two things are freaking her out right now. She's like backing up away from the door and goes back downstairs. She's not going to stay up there. The kids are going to have to fight it off if it gets out. They're in their own bedroom. She goes back downstairs. Two things are freaking her out. One, she knows that when she touched that door, she felt something push against it. Not the wind, something. She goes, that freaked her out. But the other thing that freaked her out was that the two girls just went back to bed. As if this is something they do all the time. They weren't panicked. They weren't going to stay up all night and talk about what it could have been. No, this is old news to them. They just were like, thanks, and went back to bed. Later, the aunt and uncle show up. Kids are fast asleep. Molly's downstairs. The aunt and uncle show up. And they're like, oh, how did everything go? And she's, oh, well, I'll answer that question once the money's in my hand. The uncle's taking her home, and she does bring it up. She goes, hey, something really weird happened earlier. I put the girls to bed. Maybe like a minute later, they were both down by the attic door. I don't know how this all started, but the door was open, and they were trying to shut it, and they couldn't because there was something on the other side trying to get out. And then I had to go up there and help, and I felt something on the other side, and we shut it. And the uncle goes, yeah, sounds about right. Driving down the road. Sounds about right. He said just weird things happen at that house. That is not unusual for him or his wife or the girls to have to deal with something like that. Now, what's funny is that was not included in their original stories, right? They talked about a little 2-year-old girl talking to the corner of the room or learning to dance. There was another story that I wanted to mention. I forgot to include it in that. The aunt had experienced something, and I think on the creepo level, this actually goes up to maybe a 6 or a 7 because it's so bizarre. One day, the aunt was home alone. Everyone else was in Chesapeake Bay, which was 2 hours away. She goes, I was totally alone in my house. There was no one nearby, and there hadn't been anyone nearby for a while. And in their dining room, they had a glass-topped table. And the way that it was set up was you had all of the silverware always laid out. After you washed it, you dried it off apparently and just put it, it's all soaking wet. It's all covered in bacteria. You had the placemat and the plate and the fork and the knife and the spoon and the napkin, all that stuff. And there were these 4 place settings at the table for the 4 of them. She said, one day I walked into the dining room. I was the only one there. I was the only one there for a while. I came into the dining room, and all of the silverware and the placemat and all of that stuff was on the chairs. 4 chairs, 4 place settings, but now the place settings were not on the table, they were on the chairs. But she goes, it wasn't just that. She said all the chairs were pushed in, and all of the settings were in the exact order. Placemat, plate on top of it, fork, knife, spoon, napkin. She goes, it was like someone had taken it and recreated it on the chair, and then the chairs were pushed in, and if you look down through the glass table, you could see all the settings there. Again, like, that's the type of paranormal activity where you go, why? A ghost talking to a kid is pretty normal when you talk about paranormal lore. Things flying or falling off of shelves, that's far more rare. But in the world of poltergeists or demonic activity, we do see those things. But recreating the place settings, but moving them, it just is, that's such an odd thing to have done. And again, she goes, I was the only one in the house. Everyone was 2 hours away. I'd been the only one in the house for a while. Why did that happen? So the creepiness is the fact that you wonder why. But yeah, even the pushing against the door to keep something from coming out of the attic, that was, the uncle's response was, yeah, it sounds about right. Sounds about right. This was posted online by someone going underneath the name Soup Yahtzee. And people asked, how are those girls doing? How are those girls doing if, they had to go through all this stuff? Like, what is it like growing up in a house that's not only haunted, that, that can be normal in the paranormal world, but, having to worry at night of something coming out of the attic and getting you. She goes, actually, they're doing great. I guess you just grow up in the house you grow up and you just realize, oh, well, this is not normal, but yeah, I guess you develop pretty good upper body strength having to hold a door closed every now and then to keep the unspeakable creature from the attic coming out. Mohammed, let's go ahead and toss you the keys to the world-famous Carpenter Copter. We are leaving behind the East Coast. Why don't you fly us all the way out to Argentina? The year is 2016. We're headed all the way out to Argentina. Specifically, it's Buenos Aires, Argentina. It's 3 a.m. And a tip of the hat to the last 747 sent this story over to me. The last 747's been sending a lot of stuff over these past couple months. Really, really appreciate it. Really, really do. It's so awesome. Thank you. And this one's a weird one. We're about to meet this young man. We don't have his real name. We'll call him Bill. Bill is leaving a nightclub. He's leaving a nightclub. It's been a long night dancing. Dun, 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 dun. It's another industrial. If you listen to yesterday's episode, you're like, oh no, is he going to start talking about his nights at a goth club again? I had some good memories at that industrial / goth club. It was dope. It was pretty cool. The rage. Like Jason was talking about it. He spent 10 minutes talking about it. Yesterday's episode. You made us wait for your black fingernail phase just to get to the shape-shifting reptilian. Don't do that again. Okay. So, Bill is leaving the nightclub. He's walking alone to the bus stop. The night's over. He's responsible too, right? He's had a couple of beers. He says he had 2 beers. Don't drink and drive. Don't ever drink and drive. He's going to take the bus home. He's leaving the nightclub. He's walking to the bus stop. He said that really I just wasn't feeling the place. He's there and he goes, this isn't really my night, or this isn't really my spot, whatever. I'm out. So he starts walking to the bus stop. Now, the way that the city's laid out, for him to go from the club to the bus stop, he has to cross a train track. He's walking through the city and he sees the train track. He knows he has to cross that to get to the bus, but as he's approaching the train track, he hears the warning bells. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. That's really going to harsh your buzz. You're like, oh, man. The bells are ringing, letting people know that the train's coming. He's not going to be able to cross yet. Now, in America, we have those big gate things that come down that keep you from being able to cross the train track. I don't know if that's the same setup here. It sounds like there's almost like a rail. I was even trying to picture this. I don't know if it's a freight train. I don't know if it's a passenger train. I don't even know if it is what in America we would call a people mover. In the Bay Area, we had the BART, the Bay Area Rapid Transit. So it's just like a bunch of buses connected together that run on a train track. I don't know how this layup is. But he said, he goes, we have this train track, and apparently there's this railing to keep you from going into the train track. So that might be what in America we have as the gate system. It might be something like that. So if you're from Argentina, you know exactly what he's talking about. If not, then we kind of have to use our imagination. But he gets to this train track, and the train's coming, and he's going to have to wait now. He's not so drunk that he's going to risk his life trying to run across this, beat the train. He said on the other side of the train track, this homeless man is kind of walking up to the railing. And he's standing against the railing. The man is swaying a bit back and forth. And he takes a sip from a bottle. Bill's kind of sizing him up. He goes, I couldn't say 100% that he was homeless. He definitely looked homeless. He looked like he had a rough life. Looked like he'd been on the street for a while. And his clothes also looked pretty raggedy. But at the same time, he goes, I don't remember a ton of details about him. I knew that he was bald. I can make out he was bald. And this homeless guy is swigging the bottle. And he turns and he looks at Bill. He's making eye contact with Bill. Bill's looking at the bum. And the bum is looking back and drinking as he's looking right into Bill's eyes. Just taking sips of whatever alcohol he had in that bottle. The train is coming. And Bill is looking at this homeless man, kind of swaying back and forth, drinking. Bill realizes he's too close to the track. He's like right up against that railing, which is like the last guard from you getting smashed. And he's dangerously close. His fear is that because of the way that he's drinking and kind of stumbling, that he's going to accidentally fall onto the train tracks. Bill starts to scream over the noise of the oncoming train. Get back! Sir, get back! You're too close! Get back! Chugga, 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 chugga. The train is getting closer. The bum is still standing there. Get back! Sir, you're too close! Get back! Get back! The front headlight of the train is now completely visible in the darkness. It's getting brighter and brighter as it gets closer and closer. The bum starts chugging from the bottle. Glug, 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 glug. In this moment, Bill realizes he might not see an accident happen. Bill starts to realize this guy might be planning on killing himself. Almost as if you knew these were your final moments on Earth. You're going to get all that liquid courage into your stomach, the last amount of that poison to go through your blood system, because this is the last thing you're ever going to drink. He felt that this guy was planning on killing himself, and he was trying to steel himself to make that horrible decision. The homeless man opens his arms up wide, as if about to give the entire world a big bear hug. He opens his arms up wide to his sides and he stares at Bill. Train's getting closer. The man then turns around and has his back to Bill. And he just falls backwards. He falls backwards right onto the track. And Bill sees the man's feet are touching one of the rails of this train, while his head has now crashed against the other rail. And the way that he fell and the way that he's positioned, Bill is just horrified by what's going on. He looks down at the man. The man looks up and is staring at Bill as the train comes closer, as the headlight illuminates the entire area. Bill clearly sees this man is bald, but it's not just that. He doesn't even have eyebrows. His whole head and face are shaven clean. He's looking up at Bill. Bill staring into his eyes. He's screaming now for the train to stop. Stop the train. Stop the train. The train runs over this man. And it begins to slow down. Bill's standing there, and he has to look. He knows what he's going to see, but he has to look. And he gets down, and he looks underneath the train, and he sees the remains of this man, mangled and torn and twisted. He says, it was exactly what I thought it was going to look like. I don't know why I looked. Looked like a human just turned into a pretzel. Everything was wrong and broken and bent in impossible angles for the human body. So he looks away. He looks away from the mangled corpse. But then, he has to look back. He feels it. It's a need. Bill turns and looks back to once again look at the mangled corpse. Instead, he sees the man crouched down on all fours, staring right into Bill's eyes. He said, that's impossible. That's impossible. Not even the fact that a man who just got hit by a train and killed is now alive. Not just that a man who had previously been a mangled mess is now moving, had moved into this new position, crouched down underneath the train. He goes, that wasn't the impossible stuff. As impossible as that was, he goes, I'm telling you, there was not enough room underneath that train to be crouched down. It was physically impossible. A human could not take that position. But I'm looking at it, and I see this man. Is it a man? Crouched in this position. He goes, there's not enough space. And this is an interesting thing about the world of the paranormal. Physics go out the window. Forget ghosts being invisible. Forget aliens being able to teleport people around. You can take a 2-foot box and fit a 6-foot man inside of it. We don't know how it works. But in the world of the paranormal, the rules are bent so much they're broken, they're shattered. They never existed in the first place. He's watching a man, and again, this is a man who just got hit by a train, who should be dead. But his mind can't wrap around the thought of how is he crouched in a... He even when he wrote the story, he goes, this is probably the hardest part to talk about because it doesn't make sense. He's crouched down underneath that train. Bill sees him crouched under that train, but also knows that it's impossible. There shouldn't be space for him to do that, but there he is. The bum is crouched down underneath the train, staring right at Bill. And then this formerly dead man, breaking all the laws of physics, runs away and disappears into the night. Bill standing there completely shocked. One, by seeing the violent death, and then two, by whatever this was, whatever just happened here. And a police officer walks up to Bill. Bill goes, I think he was on the train. I think that's how he got there so quickly. A police officer walked up to Bill and says, yo, dude, what were you yelling about? Why were you screaming? What's going on? And Bill says someone got ran over. He's going to leave out the second part. He's going to leave out the second part for now. Someone just got ran over. I just watched this train just run over this homeless guy. He fell on the tracks and this train ran over. And the cop's like, what? Bill's like, I swear to God, dude, this dude just got ran over. Cop's like, where? Let me look. Bill's like, oh no, like, what are you gonna do, right? You're yelling at this train to stop, stop, stop. Cop jumps off the train, but what are you doing? Well, guy got ran over, but the dude ran away. The guy who got ran over scuttled away, disappeared into the night. And Bill knows this. Bill's like, he's under there, right? He's pointing underneath the train. He knows the guy's gone. He knows the cop's gonna think he's crazy. Might even get arrested. And the cop looks under the train, doesn't see anyone under there, of course. And the cop's like, how much did you have to drink tonight, kid? What is going on? You're imagining people jumping in front of trains. The train stopped, all this stuff. And as the cop's questioning Bill, and Bill really doesn't have any answers, from out of the darkness, the police officer and Bill hear a man yelling, he's right! He's right! The kid's right! The kid's right! And they turn and they look, and there's this homeless man pushing a cart of his goods, and he's walking up to the police officer and Bill and being like, that kid's telling the truth. I saw it. That train ran over someone and he took off. I swear to God, that guy got hit by a train, and then I saw him run out from underneath the train and disappear. He's gone. And take off. Cop's like, what in the world's going on? Listen, these aren't the two best witnesses, right? This guy's had a couple beers. Who knows how many beers the homeless man's had. Bill's terrified. He doesn't know what to do. The homeless guy begins praying because he's just like, oh my, what did I see? It'd be one thing, again, you'd probably be praying if you just saw someone get killed, but to see him get killed and then crawl out from underneath the train and take off running into the night. Cop's baffled. He doesn't really know what to think. He does have two witnesses, although they're probably not the best witnesses. At this point, the train conductor has hopped off the train and has made his way back over to this group. It takes a while for a train to slow down. He walks over, he finally gets over to this group, and he sees the cop, he sees Bill, he sees the homeless man, and the conductor walks up to him and he goes, hey, where's that guy I ran over? What happened? I saw that guy jump on the track. Where's he at? I mean, I'm assuming he's underneath my train. I don't think he's doing an Irish jig anywhere. And the cop goes, there was no guy. And Bill's like, no, there was a guy. There was a guy. And the conductor looks at Bill and looks at the cop and tells the cop, there was a guy. I saw it. I did run over somebody. We ran over somebody. But there's nobody there. Conductor looks, there's nobody there. The cop looks, there's nobody there. Bill knows there's nobody there. The dude took off running. At this point, they're starting to get some traffic back up because this is also like a roadway. So there's some cars, waiting to cross the train tracks. The train conductor doesn't know what to make of it. He walks back to the train. The cop gets on the train. The homeless guy walks away. And Bill's standing there. And he cannot figure it out. The train starts up. And moves on. Car traffic drives back and forth over the train track, continuing on their journeys. And Bill is just standing out there all alone. He cannot figure it out. He cannot figure out what he saw. A little over a month goes by, and Bill, goes about his daily business, but he still can't wrap his head around this. He can't figure it out. Elements of the story have been verified. Him and the train conductor both saw someone jump on the track. Him, the homeless person, and the train conductor both saw someone jump on the train track. Him and the homeless man both saw the man then run out from underneath the train track, but only Bill saw him crouched underneath it like that, staring right into his eyes. And Bill can't figure it out, and he goes, I didn't tell any of my friends about it because it's so weird. It's such a weird story. And Bill said he's always loved the paranormal, but this was different. This wasn't a ghost story. This wasn't reading about, some mysterious disappearance of some plane somewhere, alien, visitation crop circles. It was so unusual. It broke the laws of physics. Outside of someone dying and coming back to life, he can keep remembering that man crouched down in that impossible small area. Bill starts to think, and I don't necessarily think this is wrong, it's kind of an interesting take on it. Bill starts to think that this was supposed to be a warning to him. This was supposed to be a message to him, showing him what could be or what might have been. And I don't know if that is that Bill, previous to this, had suicidal thoughts. I don't know if before this, Bill had issues with worrying about money and afraid that he'd be homeless someday. I don't know if Bill was struggling with alcoholism or the beginning stages of it. And he saw this as a possible future for himself, ending up on the streets, doing nothing but drinking until the point where he could not take it anymore. So he found a train, took a few more big swigs of his favorite drink, and then killed himself. He thinks that it could have been a message to him. That is possible. It's interesting that multiple witnesses saw this. If it was just him, this is a funny story in the sense that if it was just him, I might buy the message theory more. But if it was just him, he probably could have just written it off as a weird night or a drunken hallucination or something. Like, someone must have put something in my drink. But when you had two other witnesses from different angles seeing the same thing, or parts of the same event, you can't really write it off as just him losing his mind or imagining or just a dream or something like that. That's not a terrible theory. It's not a terrible theory. There were other witnesses to it, which makes me think this might not be such a personalized message, but I don't know. And neither does he. Neither will anybody. This is such a bizarre story that you don't know how to classify it. I said in the intro, a beast from beyond. I mean, a cryptid? Some sort of shapeshifter? A demon? I mean, your guess is as good as mine, and his, and any of the other people who witnessed this phenomenon. We just don't know. Which makes it even more terrifying, because it's already such a graphic story of supernatural terror that leaves everyone just kind of wondering what they actually saw that night. He will always wonder what that was. He will always wonder why he saw it. He will always wonder if it means anything or nothing at all. But the only person who can answer those questions crawled out from underneath that train and then took off running into the night. He's the only one who can answer what truly happened. And although Bill really wants those answers, I don't think he ever wants to see this man again. DeadRabbitRadio@gmail.com is going to be our email address. You can also hit us up at Facebook.com/DeadRabbitRadio. TikTok is at DeadRabbitRadio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal conspiracy and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day. I'm glad you listened to it today.